investigation underway in Harlem after a man was stabbed to death. It happened just before 1 this morning on West 100.
Year-old boy has been charged with killing another teen on a subway platform.
The plea came after the shooting death of an 18-year-old aspiring
boy.
rapper.
Children running for safety. This happened in the...
New York City is one of, if not the most, well-known cities in the world, and is one of the most diverse, attracting tourism worldwide. New York City has multiple well-known landmarks. In the heart of the city lies Times Square, as well as skyscrapers like the Empire State Building. As of 2022, the population of New York City is around 8.3 million people, living in and around the 5 boroughs that make up the larger New York City: Staten Island, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and the Bronx. Manhattan and the Bronx have had a large gang presence, with these street gangs at war, resulting in deadly shootings in broad daylight in front of New York City's most iconic landmarks. In recent years, the drill scene in New York City exploded and gained mainstream attention, leading to the young rappers involved in these small street gangs gaining super fame overnight. Groups of teenagers based in 2 completely different boroughs are at war with one another. This deadly gang war has led to the deaths of over 20 people in both Manhattan and the Bronx. The first street gang I'll be discussing in this video is YG's, which stands for Young Gunners. YG's gang was established in 2003, primarily around the Patterson housing projects and Mott Haven houses in the Bronx. The original older members of YG's were eventually targeted by law enforcement in a federal indictment, facing serious charges that led to their downfall. This created an opportunity for younger members to take over the gang. Over time, YG's expanded its influence across various areas in the Bronx, leading to the formation of new sets under the YG's name. One notable group is RPT, which comprises YG's members based around the River Park Towers housing complex. This group is part of an alliance known as Feuds, contributing to the larger YG's alliance. A well-known figure from this gang is Bronx drill rapper D-Thang. Another faction within the YG's alliance is MHG, or Most Heated Gunner, which is predominantly based around Mott Haven and is often regarded as the birthplace of YG's. Notable rapper Use G's is associated with this crew. Other sets under YG's include ECG, represented by Shaw G's, and 800, which is associated with Nesty Flock. Additional rappers affiliated with the YG's alliance include N-Dot and Edai Guns from RPT, as well as Woo Lotti from MHG. It's important to note that while some gangs are closely allied with YG's, they are not officially part of it. For instance, Grizzly Gang shares similar rivalries with YG's, but is not considered a part of the gang itself. Similarly, the Drill Crew has allied with YG's and has beef with their rivals. This crew gained recognition in the New York drill scene through rappers like Lee Drilly. The YG's allied crews have ongoing conflicts with the DOA Alliance and other gangs such as OY, Original Youngins, and OG's, Original Goons, both of which are also based in the Bronx. The DOA Alliance, which stands for Dumping on Anything, is a coalition of Bronx gangs that directly opposes YG's. It is believed to have formed around 2015 or 2016 and originally consisted of Sev Side, Rayway, and Third Side. Over time, other gangs like 380 and Six Way have emerged under the DOA banner. The DOA gang identifies as EBK, Everybody Killer, indicating their rivalry with all surrounding gangs. Key members from these gangs include rappers like K-Flock, Dougie B, and B-Love from Sev Side, C Blue and Set the Trend from Rayway, and Zay Muna and No Love Muna from Third Side. The DOA Alliance has conflicts with every gang mentioned in this video, including YG's. Interestingly, one of DOA's most prominent rappers, K-Flock, is actually cousins with D-Thang, the leading rapper from YG's. Additionally, there are other gangs closely allied with DOA that aren't officially considered part of it, such as Slattery Boys, which share similar rivalries. 2 other street crews that have conflicts with both DOA and YG's are OY, Original Youngins, and OG's, Original Goons. OY, a gang primarily located in the small neighborhood of Sugar Hill in Harlem, Upper Manhattan, was established around 2005. Since then, the OY crew has expanded its presence throughout Manhattan and into other areas. Many members of OY represent Sugar Hill, with notable examples being Sugar Hill Keem, Sugar Hill D. Dot, and Sugar Hill DD. Essentially, Sugar Hill and OY are synonymous. The OY gang had a close association with another small gang known as OGs, even referring to themselves as OYOGs. However, since 2022, the two gangs have parted ways, which I will elaborate on later in the video. Prominent members of OY include Didi Osama, Baby, and Dudilo, among others. The final gang is OGs, a small street gang primarily from Cortlandt Ave in the Bronx. Originally allied with the YGs gang in the early 2010s, a dispute between members led to young YG-affiliated gang members branching off to form their own gang called OGFC, which stood for Original Goons from Cortlandt. This name was later shortened to OGs or Original Goons. The OGs gang maintained a close alliance with the OY gang from Sugar Hill until a dispute in 2022 altered that relationship. The OGs gang has rivalries with YGs, OY, and DOA. The most recognized member of the OGs is Shaik, who gained popularity with tracks like New Ops. To clarify the situation, the ongoing conflict can be summarized as a rivalry between OY from Sugar Hill, YGs, DOA, and OGs, each gang engaged in a deadly feud that has led to numerous murders on the streets of New York City.
Teenager injured in the Bronx. You can see a man and woman walking along Grand Avenue in the Claremont section. The man pulls out a gun and shoots down the street.
Can't wait to see Auntie now.
The YG's crew was founded around 2004 by Juhef in the Mott Haven neighborhood. Another key member was Mel Baller, who was close to Juhef until around 2010 when a disagreement over an alleged robbery caused a rift. Mel Baller and several other members decided to break away from YGs to form a new gang known as GFC, based around Cortlandt Avenue. GFC stood for God's Favorite Children, but later changed its name to OGFC before finally becoming known as OGs or Original Goons. This new OGs crew would eventually become rivals with their former allies in the Mott Haven-based YGs. As time passed, members of the OGs gang began claiming other territories in New York City, including Sugar Hill in Upper Manhattan. This area would later become home to young gang members representing the OY or Original Young'uns crew. Initially, OY was closely allied with OGs, even adopting the name OYOGs, frequently referenced in tracks by both groups. However, this alliance came to an end in 2022 due to internal disputes. Similarly, the YGs gang also expanded their territory, moving to River Park Towers, where the RPT gang was formed. These towers consist of 4 residential buildings completed in the 1970s and were notorious for illegal activities occurring within their apartments. RPT is a faction of YGs that operates under the broader YGs alliance. One of their most notable members was D-Thang. Tensions between YGs and OGs escalated around the early 2010s following the brutal murder of a teenage member of OGs. On April 16, 2012, a group of YG's members were drinking and began arguing about who was the most dangerous and active member among them. To resolve this debate, they decided to leave their block and head to Cortlandt Avenue, home to the OG's gang. Upon reaching the rival area, which was a few blocks away, the bloodthirsty YGs searched for rival OGs for a few minutes before noticing 16-year-old Noah, who was standing with a friend outside of his building. The group of YGs launched an attack on Noah and his friend. 2 of the attackers focused their attention on Noah, who by this point was on the floor. The attackers then stomped on Noah, causing severe injury. Noah's friend was also attacked. Being attacked by the members with a witness to the crime, then alerting police of the attack after a few minutes. The attackers fled on foot, and police would arrive. Police would originally believe that Noah had been shot dead due to the severity of the murder. Noah was rushed to hospital, but would sadly be pronounced dead hours later. A murder investigation would see the arrests of all of the YG's members involved in the attack, with them receiving lengthy prison sentences, whilst the OGs would attempt to carry Noah's name in a positive light, taking pictures at his gravesite following his death. Rival gangs would begin to heavily disrespect him, a prime example of this being D-Thang. D-Thang would rap on a track titled Tactical, with T-Dot going as far as to say he would dig up Noah's grave and stomp on him, just how the YGs did in 2012. This is all crazy, as if you do the math, D-Thang was around when Noah was killed. However, D-Thang's age didn't stop him from getting active in the streets, supposedly being an active YG's member since the early 2010s, with an old Instagram live video even emerging from when D-Thang was around 13 or 14, portraying both Woo Lotti and D-Thang on Instagram Live. It became sad when you come to learn that only a few years later, Woo Lotti would be stabbed and killed, resulting in a dangerous feud that subsequently resulted in the murders of countless people. At the start of 2013, Ju Hef, the founder of the YG's gang, would drop a song featuring a bless within which you can hear Ju Hef rapping about how the YG's gang was very prominent within the underground drug scene. This may have been a mistake, as around 2015, a federal indictment would occur against the YG's gang, picking up over 20 members of the YG's crew, all on different charges. Although I'll speak about this later, it would be a year after the death of Noah that the founder of the YG's, Ju Hef, would be killed in an extremely brutal way, even being disrespected today by younger members of the OGs and other rival gangs. On August 26, 2013, Ju Hef, as well as other YGs, would be attending the Tropicana nightclub within the Bronx at around 3 a.m. A brawl between the crew of YGs and a rival group known as Flybridge or Highbridge would break out. The brawl quickly turned deadly when an attacker used the end of a hookah pipe to beat Ju Hef, who by this point went into a coma. Emergency services quickly arrived on the scene and transported Ju Hef to hospital, where he remained in a coma for a few days. Sadly, however, a week following the deadly attack in the nightclub, Ju Hef was pronounced dead in the hospital. Upon hearing that Ju Hef had died, members of the OGs began to taunt the YGs and constantly mock Ju Hef. On one occasion, OGs members would travel to Ju Hef's memorial and would urinate all over it, even though Ju Hef died over 10 years ago. Young members of the gangs that rival YGs often still disrespect him. PJ Gizzy, who is a notable member of the OGs, would rap on his track titled Muddy, in which he said he was smoking on dead rivals including Ju Hef. This then being followed by the eerie bar, Boy Got Beat with a Hookah to Death. Following the death of Ju Hef, police would begin to look into the gangs, and in 2015, a federal indictment would be put against the YG's gang. This indictment included 22 members of the YG's gang and 26 other Bronx gang members. The YG's members would later be charged with racketeering offenses, as well as 3 murders, drug trafficking, and firearm offenses. This indictment would actually identify some of the people responsible for the brutal murder of Noah 3 years earlier, and would result in the members responsible being given lengthy prison sentences. These indictments wouldn't end for the New York gangs, as in 2016, over 100 members of the YGs would be taken down for at least 8 murders linked to the gang. This then being one of New York City's biggest gang takedowns. It's believed that these gang indictments that saw the arrests of prominent older members would result in the younger members taking over around 2015. Gangs aligned with that of Sev's side would become a lot more prominent, an example of this being Rayway and Third Side. Although other gangs also emerged and are allied with DOA, examples being 700 DOA and Six Way. For simplicity's sake, however, I'll only really be speaking about Sev's side, Rayway, and Third Side now. Originally, some Sev's side members and some OG's members would be linked up, an example of this being Adot, who was a well-known OY rapper and would be somewhat affiliated with K Flock from Sev's side. This all changed when Adot would be on an Instagram live with one of K Flock's main ops, this then causing a divide between Sev's side and OY, with OGs then siding with OY and referring to themselves as OY OGs. Now this gets confusing because the popular Bronx rapper B-Love is actually from the OG's gang and would get very close with K Flock from Sev's side, but also reps OGs. He doesn't associate with OY, however, and actually has a rivalry with them. I'm saying this because the DOA Alliance will become very prominent within this gang war, getting very involved in the war. Anyways, only months after the federal indictment against YGs in April 2016, the younger members began to get active within the streets. This was proven in July 2016, when members of YGs from RPT D-Thang's hood would shoot dead. On the 23rd of July 2016, 24-year-old UEI, whose real name was Earl Simmons, was standing on Anderson Avenue near Yankee Stadium at around 2 a.m. A member of YG's from RPT, known as Creamhound, along with two other men, noticed UEI. Creamhound began to let off shots towards UEI, hitting him in the head. The attackers fled in a gray sedan, but were apprehended shortly after the attack when the sedan crashed into a police car just a few blocks from the shooting. A witness stated, "First, I heard one shot, then two at the same time quick, and then I heard people running and crying, and never came out." UEI was rushed to Lincoln Hospital, but, despite the attempts of medical professionals, was pronounced dead moments later. Creamhound was later charged with the murder of UEI and received 28 years for the deadly shooting. In recent years, videos have emerged showing UEI's killer, Creamhound, rapping in old RPT music videos from the early 2010s.
See the YG, yeah, we on the block.
Just under a month following the shooting that claimed UEI's life, on the 14th of August 2016, an alleged affiliate of the Slattery Boys gang, known locally as Smelly, got into a heated confrontation with another man over a bike he had recently sold. Sadly, Smelly ended up getting stabbed more than a dozen times by a man. Smelly died on the scene, and the man went on to be arrested and charged for his murder. Rest in peace, Smelly. Like everyone else that has fallen victim to this endless war, Smelly is often mocked by his rivals in drill tracks. It's crazy because if you think about it, Smelly's death was completely unrelated to any street politics. Around the end of 2016 and start of 2017, a crew based around Crotona Avenue began to get more active within the streets of the Bronx. This crew was Third Side, which was mainly made up of DOA members and allied with other DOA gangs like Sev Side and Rayway. Members of Third Side included Zay Muna and No Love Muna. Originally, Third Side didn't have a dangerous rivalry with the YGs. However, in the months following Smelly's death, a loved member of Third Side was killed by YG's members, sparking another war within the streets, DOA versus the YGs. On the 11th of April 2017, 19-year-old Tanky Baller, a member of Third Side allied under DOA, would be spinning Rival. YG's 800 territory at around 5 p.m. Tanky Baller would be on the corner of East 180th Street and Prospect Avenue when rival YG's members would notice him. The 800 YGs opened fire on Tanky Baller, shooting toward him multiple times. Tank sustained a wound to the neck as a result of the shooting. The attackers then quickly fled following the attack. Tank then staggered around the corner onto East 181st Street before collapsing in front of a store. Medics rushed to his aid, taking him to St. Barnabas Hospital. Sadly, however, Tank was pronounced dead hours later. Tank was actually one of 3 people shot dead on the same day within New York City. Rest in peace, Tanky Baller. It's believed that the death of Tanky Baller would cause the modern-day Third Side and YG's rivalry, as Third Side members would be quick to get back for their dead friend. In a track released by a YG's member known locally as Raw G's, he would reference the death of Tanky Baller and suggest that Tanky Baller went to Y's territory unarmed, with him rapping about smoking on Tank and stating he should have had his chop. Raw G's would be dissing Tank and other dead rivals. He himself would later be killed only streets away from Tanky Baller. 2018 would roll around with gang members on every side of the war, beginning to get active within the streets. In 2018, E.Baby would often be chilling on Sugar Hill territory and would later decide to join the O-Gang, looking up to his older country Cain, who is credited to have been the founder of the OY gang. Sadly, however, C wouldn't be able to observe the success that OY would gain within the drill scene, as in May 2018, he would be gunned down in his own area. The alleged killers were members from the Harlem-based crew 40 Boys, who have actually become quite a dangerous gang themselves. The death of Country Cain would affect OY members. In E.'s first song with Roscoe, he would show love to Cain, which is something OY members don't really do nowadays. In the track, you can hear E. saying, around a year following the death of Country Cain, a 10-year-old YG's affiliated gang member would begin to drop his own music with his friends. This 18-year-old being D-Thang. On the 19th of August 2019, a music video titled Ain't No Exposing G's would be uploaded onto YouTube. This music video featured multiple young rappers from the Bronx, D-Thang being one of them. This was D-Thang's debut track and saw him taunting his rivals within the lyrics, rapping about shootings and murders. The track was a remix of the popular song Exposing Me by Chicago rapper Mimo 600. Within the lyrics of the song, D-Thang would rap that him and his RPT YG's friends would be spinning Corland home to the OG's gang, as well as spinning the bridge or high bridge. D-Thang wasn't the only one from the YGs making serious noise within the streets. Another Bronx drill rapper, known locally as Woo Lotti, who was closely aligned with the Y's crew, would also be gaining attention in the New York drill scene. In February 2020, Woo Lotti would drop a track titled 4Z Talk. This title being a reference to the alliance created by the YGs. The name references streets that end with the number 4. The alliance includes RPT from River Park Towers, 194 or Drill Gang, 174 or Velland, and Mott Haven. Although Woo Lotti's music career would be looking promising, he would sadly be killed only 1 month following the release. Release of this track sparking a deadly war in New York City that subsequently resulted in the brutal murders of multiple young men and women on the 4th of April 2020. A group of YGs, including Woo Lotti and Shahjeez, would take a trip from their block to the rival OY Hood, which was Sugar Hill. Upon arriving in Sugar Hill, a group of OY members would notice the crew on 154th in Amsterdam Avenue. The OY then began to chase the rival YG's members. Woo Lotti would make it a few hundred feet before the OY members caught up, tripped him, and launched a vicious attack, which was all captured on video by one of the bystanders. Woo Lotti was stabbed multiple times and hit with other objects. Upon the arrival of emergency services, Woo Lotti was rushed to a hospital within Harlem. Sadly, however, he was pronounced dead hours later. The news of Woo Lotti's death would reach the internet extremely quickly, with members of the YGs beginning to pay their respects for the fallen member. More negatively, however, the OGs and OY would begin to disrespect the death of Woo Lotti's heavily, even traveling to his memorial site and destroying it. Woo Lotti's name was often mentioned negatively by rivals to the YGs, with a massive explosion within the NY drill scene occurring in 2021, resulting in young rappers from each side disrespecting his name and creating diss records toward the YGs. Woo Lotti was close with prominent members of the YGs like Thang, who would continue to carry his name in a positive light. The friendship between both Woo Lotti and D-Thang would go back to when they were both young, with the two even going live on Instagram in 2016. They would also be pictured together loads on social media. Upon hearing of Woo Lotti's passing, D-Thang would actually get a tattoo in remembrance of him. Rest in peace, Woo Lotti. A few months after the death of Woo Lotti, a new rapper would be making noise in the Bronx, this being K-Flock, who would drop his debut track titled FTO on the 26th of May 2020. B-Love from the OGs was also dropping tracks, releasing his debut song, No Hook.